Yeah, well, Nick's contracted for next year, and the season ended a couple of weeks ago. We've heard nothing from him or his manager about him wanting to leave. So unless anything changes, he'll be playing next year for the Giants.
You're busy last year trading higher. Is that on the cards again this year, given you got the two first rounders?
I wouldn't have thought so. I think we're probably going to end up with, I think it'll be 7 and 16, I think. And given that the Suns, who are a couple of picks ahead of us, are going to split their pick with someone else, we feel comfortable sitting with 7. I don't think we'll be trying too hard to move up, and I don't think there'll be much of an appetite from clubs ahead of us to move back as well.
You had any conversations with the Crows yet surrounding a deal for Elliot Himmelberg and bringing him in?
No, not yet. Obviously, that's what trade week's for, and there's no need to have those discussions beforehand. He's indicated that he'd like to get a trade to the Giants, but we understand that he's contracted, and that's something we'll just have to work through with the Crows over the next week and a half.
Do you have to tempt them a bit, given they've lost Alan Scholl? They probably want to keep Elliot there. You have to go a little bit harder at Adelaide for Elliot?
Potentially, but it's more something that we've just got to work through. We haven't even really had a preliminary discussion, so we don't know where the starting point is and at what level it's going to take for them to do something. So until we have those discussions around expectations and things like that, it's hard to really say whether or not we're going to have to go over and above, other than to say that, yeah, we would love to bring Elliot in.
Where would you play him? Where do you see him?
We see him as a key forward ruck. Obviously, Lockie Keefe was able to play that role for the majority of the back half of the year, but with Elliot having his brother at the club and being someone who has played some good sample footy for the Crows in a number of different positions this year, key forward, key back, ruck, we feel like he's going to add some flexibility to our list. But key forward ruck will be primarily what we'd be getting him to do.
At what point of the year did you start showing interest or having interest in Elliot?
Probably middle of the year. We'd always tracked him a little bit, given that he's brother of Harry and he's played some good AFL footy, but never really become a consistent player at that level. And they drafted Rolly Philpott a few years ago, who they'd obviously wanted to invest in, and he got a lot of opportunities ahead of Elliot over the last 12 to 18 months. So once we sort of realised that Elliot was stuck in a sandful and potentially looking for a move, I suppose we started having those conversations internally around, could we try and get him out of there and
The Razzie Fantasia is key to the Bucks.
Yeah, he had a day there last week, obviously, which was reported. Met with the coach and things like that, which was great. We were looking at Orazio along with a few other guys as a potential rookie, so we'll just do our work. We don't know where it's going to land, but given that it's a possible rookie, we've got time on our side. We'll just do our due diligence, and we've got a few weeks to make that call before the rookie draft in November.
Does the strategy for recruiting change at all, given how really the club lined up at into the season? Do you think now we're a premiership contender? Do we look at some experience to top up those big games?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, definitely the way the season ended, we feel like we're closer than what we would have thought at the end of last year or even halfway through this year. I don't think that means we change our strategy and look just to top up for the sake of it. We still feel like there's a lot of growth on our list. A lot of guys this year had career best years, and we feel like with another year in the system and another year of growth, the growth could come internally. We're also tight in terms of salary cap, so it's not something that we can look to just go and target players from other clubs. Orazio, we think, can help bolster our depth in the front half, and we believe he's got attributes to play AFL. But I think, while we did have a positive end to the year and we feel like we're close, we are a club that tends to draft, and we'll probably be hitting the draft this year and hoping that some of those guys that we drafted in the last couple of years can have the years next year that players like O'Halloran and Brown and Buckley and Iden had this year, and they'll be guys like Lecalier and Aaron Cadman. There's guys out there that we've got on our list that we feel like they can come and help make us even better next year.
You mentioned Lockie before, but where are things sitting with him for a contract perspective? Has it been offered a deal, or has he indicated that he wants to go on?
Lockie's keen to go on. At the moment, we're more just waiting and seeing where things sit with Elliot Himmelberg and let the dust settle after the trade period before we can make a call one way or another. He's obviously been a great servant for the footy club, but his spots are tight as well, which is something we're conscious of. So with Lockie, he's been great and he understands where he sits. And from our point of view, we've been transparent with him about what we're trying to do. It's more just now about he's just going to have to wait for another week and a half, and then he'll sort of learn what the plan is from there.
Brandon Chris in a similar position, or because you've lost Matt Flynn, you're expected to probably swap this future soon?
No, Prissy will stay at the club. That was always something that we discussed. If Flynn exercised his free agency rights and left, we do need someone to support Kieran Briggs in the ruck. So Bruce was someone who, you know, towards the end of this year, he started to get a bit healthier and put himself out there in some VFL games with him, so we'll keep grading on him next year.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, guys.